One of the questions that I'm always asked is, DeWayne, how did you beat diabetes? And there's three reasons. Number one is God. People don't like talking about God, but you can't leave God out of the equation. Number two is my mother, and if you knew my mother, you'd understand. And number three is my daughter. And I guess the fourth reason, if I listen to Dr. Courtney, I guess my engineering background probably had something to do with this as well. Now, and again, because people say, DeWayne, you're a grown man. I said, yeah, but you don't understand. My mother, see, when I was growing up, my mother was a living legend. All the kids in the neighborhood, when my mother came running, they ran before I did. And I knew my mother was coming because you're on a ball field. If the people in the outfield start jumping over the fence, I knew that she was coming down the street. And my mother, she's only that big, but my mother could leap and rip a branch out of a tree. And you became part of that tree. So when you grow up with that type of experience, you learn you don't say no to my mother, you go along with the program. And again, I thought I only had 2 or 3 weeks of this, and she'll be going back home. The first thing I thought about when I thought I was dead, my mother, she goes, did you think about me? I said, no. Did you think about your daughter? I said, no. She goes, then what did you think about? I said, well, what popped in my head for some strange reason was, I won't have to pay the electric bill this month. My mother just shook her head. But funny thing happened. Funny thing happened. I started eating them ugly Brussels sprouts. And the hospital plan that I had started on wasn't working. My blood glucose average is still over 420. And they were going to put me on a 5th insulin shot. And my mother made me Brussels sprouts for breakfast. And I said, Ma, are you smoking something? And my mother didn't like you, when you allude, she's taking a drug or something. Boy, you're only an inch away from death. They almost took you there. I'll take you there. And so I said, okay. And so I ate them Brussels sprouts just to appease my mother. Because I had a little pamphlet. It was maybe 5 pages. But the questions she had required me to develop a 75-page pamphlet. It was costing me too much money to print the pamphlet. And then my mother said, son, write a book. And I laughed. I said, yeah, right, Mom. And my daughter said, Dad, you should write a book. Yeah, and I laughed. But finally, when I tried to convince my mother that I should not write the book because there are all these other books written on diabetes, my mother just looked at me. She said, son, what did your father tell you when you were growing up? By the time you have come up with all these excuses and wasted all my time telling me why you can't do something, you could have already had it done. And again, I can't win that battle, people. It was easier to write the book. And I was about 80, 85 pounds heavier than I am right now, but I carried it well. I felt I was a little chunky. And my daughter said, no, Dad, you passed chunky 35 pounds ago. She started taking the food out of the cupboards. My potato chips, my pretzels, my pizza pies, my ice cream, my cookies. She started packing up all my good food. And I said, Mom, what are you? Whoa, feedback. And she says, you're taking this food back to the grocery store. And this is the way my mother operated. This is the way my father operated. You do something wrong, you're going to fix it. And so I went back to the grocery store, and again, you have to understand something. I live in a small town outside Rochester, and so everyone knows me in the grocery store. And there ain't that many black people out there. So and when they see a black person coming in with 3 carts of food to return it, you know, they're thinking, where did he get this food? And so the store clerk, she recognized me. She says, DeWayne, what's going on? I said, I got to return this food. She goes, DeWayne, you love our food. I said, I do. I love your food. And I love them little pizza pies. I love Mrs. Smith's apple pie. But I got to return this. She goes, why? I said, well, I'm a diabetic. She goes, so? I said, okay. See the woman behind me with that mean look on her face? And so the store clerk looks over, oh. And she saw the look on my mother's face and looked at me and said, DeWayne, we'll give you a store credit. So they took back all the food because I did have the receipts. They gave me a store credit of, it was around $274.
Wow, that's a lot of junk food.
There's a lot of apple pie, a lot of pizza, a lot of pretzels, a lot of potato chips. And my mother took my little shopping cart with the credit on it and started shopping. And she picked up some Brussels sprouts, broccoli, spinach, the 3 vegetables that I hate. So I want everybody to know, it's not because I was that smart as an engineer. I just decided that I needed something to do because my daughter was bossing me around. And I think she enjoyed it. She was telling me what to eat, what not to eat. And I couldn't argue with her because, again, I was very fatigued. My legs hurt. I didn't have a lot of energy. I couldn't drive anywhere. And then to complicate matters, my mother came up a couple days later with my sister. So please, people, understand what's happening here. I'm a single man. I got 3 women in my house telling me what to do. So you want to talk about some stress?